If you're asking whether rent-to-rent or BRR is better, then you're probably asking the wrong question. And that mistake alone keeps people stuck for years. I've done both. I've coached people through both. And if I was starting from zero today, I'd go for one immediately. And it's not the one that Instagram pushes either. So let's start from the top. What is rent-to-rent? Well, rent-to-rent is when you lease a property, you rent it out on Airbnb, and you create cash flow without ever having to buy it. But the part that people ignore and the part that people really trip up on is that they treat rent-to-rent like passive income when it's not. It's a business. And like any business, it's going to require a lot of your time, your effort, your energy. You'll be managing guest communication. You'll be hiring and firing cleaners. You'll have to have a maintenance guy. You'll be paying the council tax, you'll be paying the bills. And if you're lazy, you're disorganized, or you're just chasing a quick buck, then this strategy will not work for you. But if you do treat it properly, you treat it like a business, then it's one of the fastest ways to replace your income. BRR is where the real wealth is built. So you buy it right, you buy it under market value, and then you add value to it, you refinance it, you go to the bank and say, hey, can I get a new mortgage on this property? And then you pull all the money out plus the amount of money that you spent on the building work. So this is long term, and it's more about ownership. But buy, refurbish, refinance is not beginner friendly the way that people pretend that it is. There's so many different things that can go wrong, and a lot of people, they misjudge how much things are going to cost, how much the build is going to cost, how much materials are going to cost. You know, it's all about capital, numbers, dealing with the builders, having patience and having emotional control, because it can get a bit jarring. And things will go wrong when it comes to BRR. They will go wrong, and it's about how you deal with it. You know, then here's the comparison that no one explains properly between buy, refurbish, refinance and rent-to-rent. Rent-to-rent, it gives you that quick cash flow, that confidence, so you know that every month you're going to get paid, and you can see the money come in. You look at your bank account and it's there. BRR gives you stability, ownership, and long-term generational wealth. And they are not competitors, guys, because you can see there is a big difference between the two. They're different, and not one is necessarily better than the other. They're both right at different times for different seasons. And if I was to start today from zero, then I would start with rent-to-rent. Not because it's better, but because it teaches you how to properly manage your time and run a business, and it teaches you how property works. You know, all the things that you need to learn, like communication, negotiation, systems, how to manage people, how to deal with problems, how to manage cash flow, and most importantly, more important than anything else, it gets you started and it gets you in the game. Too many times I speak to people and they say, oh, I want to do BRRs, but they never get into it because they've never got that money to get started. The real mistake is people get stuck chasing cash flow forever though. You know, you've got people who never get started, and then you've got people who do rent-to-rent, and then they never end up buying a property. The smart play is to just start with the rent-to-rent, get your cash flow sorted, and then use that cash flow to buy assets. Don't use that cash flow to go out and buy a car. You know, use the rent-to-rent to fund your first BRR property, and then that one BRR property, you can keep recycling your cash over and over again, and you use that to secure your financial future. How cool is that? So if you're broke and you're feeling overwhelmed, BRR is just going to keep stressing you out. And if you're chasing passive income with no effect, then rent-to-rent is going to expose you. Strategy isn't your problem. It's the person that is. And this is why I spent so much money, I invested so much of my time and my money into mentorship, because now I'm just a different person, and I'm more able to deal with challenges when they pop up and deal with them effectively, because I'm a better version of myself. So stop asking me what strategy is better. Start asking which season you're in and how can you get better. Most people get that wrong.